Hello friends and welcome back to VHP tutorials. Now today we will start a new topic, that is logarithmic mean temperature difference. This topic will have two or more videos, means I will shoot this topic in two different parts or three different parts. So today will be the first part of this topic, that is logarithmic mean temperature difference. In this video we will discuss some prerequisites concept for deriving the LMTD formula, right? Because this if we directly move towards the derivation, then the concept which require for the derivation you will not understand if I will derive directly, right? So for that we will today consider that topics. We will discuss that topics today, and I hope you will enjoy this lecture. Please don't skip any minutes of this lecture, and if you have any doubts, then please ask me in the comment section. Also, please subscribe to my channel if you are not subscribed, and share as much as you can share. So now without any further delay, let's get started. Now we will start. Now forget all things which are going in your mind and just please pay attention towards me. Now suppose that you have an industry or you have a factory in which you have a heat exchanger, and that heat exchanger is of parallel flow type heat exchanger. This heat exchanger you have in your industry. Now you want to know at what rate this heat exchanger transfers the heat from hot fluid to cold fluid. So now how you will know? How you will calculate the heat transfer rate of the heat exchanger? So on paper we will assume some conditions, and that conditions will be nearly equal to the conditions which will be in the practical life, in the real life. Means what we do? We assume some conditions, and that conditions should be nearly equal to the practical life conditions, and on the basis of our assumptions we get a result. And that result is near to the real life problem, is real life situation. It is not exactly not same as the real life problem or the situation. Means as we are engineers, so we have to assume some things. So what are that assumptions? So first we will assume there is no loss, means we have no loss in our heat exchanger. That is, there is no energy interaction with the surroundings. All the energy which is transfer or which is gain is happening in the system only. There is no interaction of the energy with the surrounding, right? So this is our parallel flow heat exchanger, as you can see. So we will assume that there is no loss of energy. So whatever amount of heat is lost by the hot fluid is equals to the heat gained by the cold fluid. Means whatever amount of heat is lost by the hot fluid, which that all the heat which will be equals to the amount of heat which is gained by the cold fluid, right? So I will write, first we will consider that QH is the amount of heat lost by hot fluid, and QC is the amount of heat gained by cold fluid. So what was our assumptions? There is no loss of energy. So whatever amount of heat lost by the hot fluid is equals to the heat gained by the cold fluid. So I will write here, right? So this QH is equals to QC. These are rates, right? These are rates. The rate at which the heat lost by the hot fluid is equals to the rate at which the heat is gained by the cold fluid, right? So these are the rates. Now this is our first assumptions. We can say this is our first assumptions. Now you can see, whenever we have a heat exchange in the heat exchanger, then before reaching towards the cold fluid, the heat has to travel through a surface. Which type of surface? The heat exchanger surface. We are talking about the recuperators. So in recuperators we have a surface. This is the pipe. This is the pipe wall, and through this pipe wall the heat has to travel in order to reach to the cold fluid. So the heat has to travel through this surface. So there will be some rate, that at which rate the heat is traveling. There will be some rate, and we will consider that rate as Q. This is the rate at which the heat is traveling through this surface. This surface is also known as heat exchanger surface, right? So in order to reach to the cold fluid, the heat has to travel through the heat exchanger surface. So at what rate the heat will travel through this heat exchanger surface, we will consider as Q. Now these are easy to find. The values of QH and QC is easy. Why easy? I will show, but to find Q, it is little bit of tricky. It requires some of the concepts that how we will find Q. So for that, I want to refine the knowledge of conduction part. That in conduction part, we had discussed the overall heat transfer coefficient concept. That what is that overall heat transfer coefficient concept? I hope you remember that concept. If not, I will briefly discuss here. Now, before discussing the overall heat transfer coefficient, that what is overall heat transfer coefficient, I want to refine the knowledge of Newton's cooling law. So what was Newton's cooling law? Newton's cooling law is nothing but it is the governing law for convection, which is given by Q is equals to HA delta T. Now, if you don't know this law, that how this law had came, then I suggest this, please have a look in my playlist, then you can find there the video of this, right? This is the HA into delta T. I will provide the link in the description also, the video link of this, right, concept. Now, this is what H is the heat transfer coefficient, A is the area which is exposed to the fluid, and delta T is the temperature difference between the fluid and the surface where the heat transfer is occurring, right? So, where this formula will be used and where this formula will be used means in which situations we will use these formulas. So first we will consider we have a plane wall, and on one side of the plane wall we have a fluid, and on the other side we don't have a fluid. We are assuming on one side only we have a fluid. Let us consider we have air or any liquid which have the heat transfer coefficient as H1, right, and its temperature is T1, and T1 is very greater than T3, that is temperature of the wall which is on the right hand side, right. So the heat will move in this direction, that is Q. So whenever we have a situation in which we have a fluid on any one side of a solid boundary or on a solid medium, then in this case, if you want to find the heat transfer rate in terms of convection, then we will use this formula. Then we will use this Newton's law of cooling, right? We will use this formula, that we will write H1 into A, whatever area is of the plane wall, and temperature difference will be T1 minus T3. So you will get the value of Q. Now where to use this formula? So I will just modify these conditions. So now you can see here we have fluids on both the sides of the solid medium. So in the condition where a fluid is separated by a solid medium, or we have a solid medium which separates two different fluids, then in that case, if we want to know the heat transfer rate through the solid medium, then we use this formula. That is Q is equals to U. U is what? U is overall heat transfer coefficient. So instead of using individual heat transfer coefficient for different types of fluid, this is the H2. H2 is the heat transfer coefficient of the other fluid which is on the right hand side. So instead of using the individual heat transfer coefficient of two different fluids, we will consider the overall heat transfer coefficient. So if you want to find the formula, or if you want to find the heat transfer rate by considering the convection case only, then we use this formula in these conditions. Means in this condition we have fluids on either side, means on both the sides of the solid boundary or solid medium. So in this case we use this formula, U A into delta T. Now how to find the formula, means how to find the U? U can be found by U is equals to 1 upon summation of RTH. Summation of RTH is the addition of all the resistance which are between the first temperature and the last temperature. So we can find U by this formula. So I hope you got the idea that where to use this formula and where to use this formula. So please remember that. Now we will move towards our case. So you can see our heat exchanger is of which type? Is of this type. That is our two fluids, that is hot and cold fluid, are separated by a solid boundary, and that solid boundary can be in the form of plane or it can be in the form of cylindrical also. Means there should be a separation which separates the hot and cold fluid, and it doesn't matter that it should have the plane only or it should have the cylindrical only. It can be of any of the type, right? So it is easy to find QH and QC. So how we will find Q? So after explaining this much things, I hope you got the idea that how we will find Q. So how we will find Q? By using this formula. But again, there is some modification in this formula. So what are the modifications we will see, but we will use this formula, right? So now let us assume that Q is the heat transfer rate through this heat exchanging surface, or you can write QEXE also, or just Q only, right? This is the heat transfer rate through our heat exchanging surface or heat exchanger. So this is what? This is heat transfer rate through, right? Q is the heat transfer rate through our heat exchanger, or we can say this is the heat transfer rate of our heat exchanger. So I will write the formula of Q is equals to UA into theta M. Instead of delta T, we have our original formula is Q is equals to UA into delta T. So instead of delta T, I will write theta M. Now what is theta M? Theta M is logarithmic mean temperature difference, that is LMTD. Now why to write theta M? Why we cannot write this delta T? So if you remember, when we had derived this formula, then we had considered some assumptions. So what are the assumptions? That is, we have the steady state heat conduction, there is only one directional heat flow, there is no internal heat generation, and blah blah blah, right? So at first, what was the assumption? Steady state heat conduction. So whenever we have steady state heat conduction, that means our temperature difference is not changing with respect to time, or our temperature difference is constant. But in our case, in our heat exchanger, you can see at the inlet part, there is different temperature difference. That is, this is theta 1, this is theta 2. That is, theta 1 and theta 2 are the end temperature difference. Theta 1 is THI minus TCI, and theta 2 is THO minus TCU. That means at the inlet and the outlet, we have two different temperature difference. Means our temperature difference is not constant along the length. Whenever we analyze the heat exchanger, then we analyze it along the length or the area, right? So you can see our temperature difference is not constant. So there is a problem that which temperature difference we should consider here. We should consider the inlet temperature or the outlet temperature, or in between this inlet and outlet, because you can see in between inlet and outlet at different points on this graph we have infinite temperature difference. If we find the temperature difference here, if I find the temperature difference here, if I find, then similarly we have infinite temperature difference. So which temperature difference we should consider here? We should consider here. So to eliminate that problem, the engineers or the scientists derive an expression for theta m, or got a theta m concept. Theta m is what? Logarithmic mean temperature difference. So for this reason, that taking the temperature difference, which temperature difference we should consider to eliminate that problem, we had considered the logarithmic mean temperature difference. It is the temperature, means it is the average in the form of log, right? It is logarithmic mean temperature difference. So I hope you got that why we are considering this theta m. Now to find theta m, we have two different types of approaches. But before seeing that approaches, we will solve our problem, that is QH equals to QC equals to Q. Means how we will find this value? We will find this value by, we will find the value of Q by using this formula. We will find how we will find the value of QH and QC. So for that we have QH. For QH, in question we will get the mass flow rate of the hot fluid. It will be provided. This CPH, it also will be provided. CPH is what? H is the H is representation of the hot fluid, nothing all. So CPH is the specific heat at constant pressure for hot fluid into delta T, that is THI minus THO, right? By using this formula you can get QH. So what was our equation? That is QH is equals to QC. Now QC is what? It is same, that is m dot C, that is mass flow rate of cold fluid into specific heat of the cold fluid, that is CPC, into TCI minus TCO. Now is this is correct? Is this is correct? I want to ask you that, is this is correct or not? This is not correct. This is correct if I write minus sign here. Why? Because you can see TCO is greater or lesser than TCI. TCO is greater than TCI. So if you will put the values of TCI and TCO, you will get here minus. So to eliminate that minus, I have to write here minus. So if you will write in this form, that is TCI minus TCO without minus sign, then it will be come in negative form. So to eliminate that negative form, I will write the negative sign, extra negative sign, or if you want to not write this negative sign, just we will write this TCO minus TCI, because TCO is greater than TCI. So remember this part, right? This is important. So in our first assumption, we got QH is equals to QC. So in order to, we had considered what? There is no loss. So if there is no loss, then the heat transfer rate, that is heat lost by the hot fluid, should be equals to heat gained by the cold fluid. But when this Q is also same, that means this Q should be same. That is heat transfer rate through the heat exchanger surface should be equals to QC is equals to QH. Means if it is different, then there will be some losses. But we are assuming that there is no loss. So this 3 heat transfer rate should be same. Then and then only the heat which is lost by the hot fluid is equals to the heat gained by the cold fluid. So this heat transfer rate, this is the heat transfer rate through the heat exchanger, should be equals to the both the heat transfer rates, right? So this is by what? Our first assumptions, or you can say according to the energy balance. According to energy balance equation. Energy balance. That is QH, that is heat transfer rate, that is or heat lost by the hot fluid is equals to heat gained by the cold fluid is equals to, this is the total heat transfer rate of the heat exchanger. That is total heat transfer rate of heat exchanger, of our heat exchanger. If in the question you are asked to find the heat transfer rate of a heat exchanger, then you will directly use this formula, that is Q equals to UA into theta M, provided you should have the value of theta M. This A is the area of the heat exchanger, U is the overall heat transfer coefficient, right? Now if you have a cylindrical, means if you have a heat exchanger in this way, this is the concentric cylinder arrangement, because outer there is a bigger cylinder and in here we have a smaller cylinder, means we have 2 concentric cylinders. So we have 2 concentric cylinders, and these cylinders are not considered as thin, means they have some inner radius and the outer radius. So for example, if you have a arrangement like this is the inner radius R1, this is the outer radius R2. Now you have this arrangement. Now in here we have the hot fluid and outer here we have the cold fluid, right? Now you want to find, means in this case you are asked to find the U. So how we will find U? So for that we have a beautiful assumptions, or you can say, so leave it, we will discuss that in the next part because it will require some more derivations also, right? So I will just write the formula, that is Q, that is heat transfer rate of a heat exchanger, is equals to UA into theta M is equals to UI into AI into theta M is equals to UO into AO into theta M, right? UI is heat transfer coefficient based on the inner area, UO is the heat transfer coefficient based on the outer area, and this AI is the area of the inner wall, and AO is the area of the outer wall of the pipe. So you can imagine that it is complicated, means I have to explain it more, so it is better that I will explain in the next class. So this theta M will be same, so it will be cancelled. So from this equation you can have a UI into AI is equals to UO into AO. By using this equation you can get the value of either UI or UO, right? This is the method, that is UI AI is equals to UO AO. This product will be same. So keep this in mind, keep this equation in mind. This is more important. So I hope that you got the idea that why we have to consider theta M in the heat transfer rate in the heat exchanger. So remember, this is the heat exchanging surface. QH is equals to QC is equals to Q. QH is what? QH is m dot H into Cph into this temperature difference of the THI minus THO. QC is m dot c into CPC TCO minus TCI. That is for cold fluid. And I had shown here for parallel flow, but for counter flow also this equation is same, right? For counter flow, for parallel flow, this equation will remain same provided that there is no loss of energy. This equation will remain same, and this also will be remain same. That is Q is equals to UA into theta m, which is also equals to UI into AI into theta m, which is also equals to UO into AO into theta m. This whole concept is different. I will explain when I will explain the overall heat transfer coefficient in case of heat exchangers, right? So don't worry, just keep the note of this. I will explain it in detail. And yes, now one thing I just forgot to write, that where to use, as we have two types of approaches for theta m, that is LMTD approach and AMTD approach. LMTD is what? LMTD is logarithmic mean temperature difference, and AMTD means arithmetic mean temperature difference. Now what it is, I will show. So these are two approaches to find theta m. So first is LMTD, that is logarithmic mean temperature difference. So we will derive this formula in the next video. So you will get at last this formula, that is theta m is equals to theta 1 minus theta 2 upon ln of theta 1 upon theta 2. And this is what? Arithmetic mean temperature difference. That is theta m is equals to theta 1 plus theta 2 upon 2. Now what is theta 1, theta 2? These are the end temperature difference. So this is theta 1 and this is theta 2. And in counter flow also we have theta 1 and theta 2. In counter flow, what was the theta 1 and theta 2? I hope you will remember. In parallel flow, it is THI minus TCI, it is theta 1, and for theta 2, it is THO minus TCO, right? So these are theta 1 and theta 2. If you don't know what is theta 1 and theta 2, please see the first video of my heat exchanger lecture. I will provide the link in the top right corner, right? So this is the two approaches. Now you will think that when to use these approaches. So whenever you get theta 1 upon theta 2, whenever you get theta 1 upon theta 2 is greater than 1.7, then always use this LMTD approach. If you find the ratio of theta 1 upon theta 2 greater than 1.7, then use this LMTD, that is logarithmic mean temperature difference approach. If not, if the ratio is less than this, then use this AMTD directly. Just you have to take the mean of two temperatures or the average of two temperatures, right? So this AMTD is very simple, but this LMTD requires some assumptions, right? So I will list down that assumptions, and I will derive the equations for LMTD also in the next video, because I know you guys don't see the lengthy videos, right? So for your betterment, I will split this concept into 3 different parts or 2 different parts, whichever is convenient for me, right? So I will split into 2 different parts. In next part, I will discuss the theta m, that is derivation of theta m, logarithmic mean temperature difference for parallel flow. In next part, theta m for LMTD for counter flow, right? So that's all. I hope you understood all the concepts which I discussed now. If you have any doubts, then please ask me in the comment section, or if you have any topics that you want the video, then also please mention in the comment. If you mention it in the comment, then I will get a motivation power to make more and more videos, right? So please subscribe also and share as much as you can, and we will discuss the derivation in the next part, means in the next video, right? So till then, have a good day and bye. And please don't forget, keep learning, keep growing. Bye bye.